A former judge for the city of South Tucson is leading the charge to overhaul Title IX policies at the University of Arizona. Title IX is a federal law dating back to 1972 that bans sex discrimination at educational institutions that receive federal funding. Last year, the university launched a nationwide search for a Title IX director in the wake of several accusations of Title IX violations directed at the U of A and its athletics department. Ronald Wilson got started on the job in October. Last week, we spoke about his approach to the role.
One of the first orders of business is to create a Title IX office for the university. So the president has asked that I work with him, the senior leadership team, various stakeholders and constituency groups from across campus to identify areas where we can centralize Title IX so that the resources are accessible to students, that grievance procedures, policies, and other necessary resources are available to both students and employees and easily and readily available.
This has been a challenging time here in the University of Arizona history. How have you gone about restoring trust? I know you've only been here for a few months, but I imagine that's got to be one of your top priorities.
It is, absolutely. And it's not just here at the university, it's across the country. We live in a very divisive nation, and there's a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of mistrust. People don't know who to believe or what to believe. And it's not just on college campuses, it's in the community. It's not just within education, it's in criminal justice, it's in public media, it's across the board. And so, one of the things that we have to do as leaders is be open and honest with each other and create authentic lines of communication so that we can have candid discussions about what some of the issues are and how we need to resolve them and the impact that those issues and resolutions have on our various constituency groups.
In your line of work as a prosecutor to now, I imagine there's a very delicate balance in what the accused is saying with what the accuser is facing. How do you go about ensuring that both sides are treated fairly?
Due process rights, both substantive and procedural due process rights of the accused and the accuser must be observed. And you do that through transparency, policies and procedures, notice requirements, and having really effective investigators, coordinators, and other individuals involved in the grievance process, working collaboratively to ensure that timeframes are being met, investigations are prompt and thorough, that notices are being sent out, and that the parties understand what their rights are as it pertains to the investigatory process, findings of fact, and appeals.
You do talk about how some of this needs to happen in the home as well. That children do need to learn different practices when they're growing up and things they eventually can go out into society and build on.
Absolutely. The majority of the Title IX respondents are male. And we live in a society where many young children are growing up without positive male role models in the household. And so we need to support programs that provide mentors and provide young men in particular opportunities to learn about the way their conduct and behavior impacts other people in their community. Toxic masculinity is an issue that needs to be addressed.
Title IX has been around since the 1970s. Here we are in 2019. How is it that we've not managed to gain some sense of control over this issue?
There are several intersections between Title IX, Title VII, Title VI, Section 504, ADA, ADEA, discrimination, harassment, all forms of misconduct, and targeting various marginalized groups has been on an uptake over the past few years. And so if you are a member of a historically marginalized population, you are a target for discrimination, harassment, and other forms of misconduct. And I've seen that across the board, not just in higher education. And we mentioned Title IX in terms of sexual harassment and discrimination, but there are also populations, ethnic populations, racial populations, gender fluid populations that are being targeted as well. And so there are a number of issues that we have to tackle as a nation. Title IX is one of them, but I don't see this problem going away anytime soon unless we as a community, unless we as a nation say that we're not going to tolerate this anymore, and that we're going to come together and work collaboratively as partners to resolve these problems, to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, hold each other accountable, regardless of what marginalized class or what ethnicity or race or gender identity you may have.
Okay, Ron, thank you.
All right, thank you.